Alright, let's solve the Leetcode problem. So yeah, the Leetcode problem is a mass dot product of two subsequent. We're given a two array, nums1 and nums2. So we have to return the maximum dot product between non-empty subsequent of num1 and num2 with the same length. So that is the definition of what is exactly the subsequent is. So a subsequent of an array is a new array which is found from the origin array by deleting some, can be none, of the character without disturbing the relative position of the remaining character. That is 2, 3, 5. It's a subsequent of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's try to understand about what is the 2, 3, 5 exactly means here. So 2, 3, and 5 is here, which is exactly in order. It's also the estimate of what is not the subsequent. Let's mention like they're talking about the 1, 5, and 3, which is 1, 5, and 3 that are not in the same sequence orders at our primary array. That is why it is not called the subsequent. Alright, given you the estimate by the Leetcode, so we need to check like what are the inputs and outputs that we should receive. So we have receiving the two arrays, nums1 and num2, both are integer, and we can pick like what are the two subarray we could choose, like subsequents. So in the explanation, we can choose like 2 and minus 2 in here, which is 2 and minus 2. And then they choose like 3 and minus 6. So yeah, okay. How about instead of choosing the given array by tensor, we're trying to choose a random number first. Let's consider like this number in here. And then we can receive like there is another number, which is a 3, 0, and minus 6. Speaking of the two idents, so in our assignment, we choose like 2 and minus 2. How about we choose like 2 and 5 only? 2 and 5. And then we're gonna choose like 3 and 0. So that could be the none for our subsequents. So yeah, and then they are trying to cross the products, which is like we have chosen like 2 ident here, and 2 and minus 2 from the nums1 and subsequent 3 and minus 6 from nums2. So what we are going to do is we're gonna multiply 2 with 3's in here, 5 with 0's in here. So 2 multiplying by 3 is 6, 5 multiplying by 0 is 0, so this is a 6. So that is one of the examples I want to show about how it's a subsequent exactly what. So by giving the example, they're choosing like 2 minus 2. So they're gonna multiply like 2 with the 3, which is going to be the 6. And then minus 2 with minus 6, which is going to be the 12. So 12 like 16 is become 18. So that is the max dot product of two subsequent we could receive. So the same for the example 2. We have given like 3 minus 2, 2 minus 6, and 7. But if we choose a minus in here, that's going to drop the value. So we can only choose a positive integer, which is a 3. And then we choose the 7, which is the largest number in the second array. So 3 multiplied by 7 is a 21. That's the reason why we receive the 21s in here. Alright, for this example 3, you simply choose like minus 1 and 1. So whatever you plus the minus 1, okay, it's something like that. If we choose both, minus 1 plus minus 1, that's going to be the minus 2. So the only thing we could get in the negative is a minus 1. Yeah, that is how we could see. But when we actually write in the code, that is a different story. Because if we try to multiply by multiple approach, like of n square, that is going to cause a time limit in our legal criteria. So how do we do that? Okay, just trying to do the thing that we could do in the dynamic programming. If I'm not wrong, that is exactly the dynamic programming problem. So let's call like m, which is a nums1.count. Normally I would use a just count variable, but in here we receive the two integer arrays in here. So that's the reason why I'm using the two variable called nums1 and nums2.count. And then I'm gonna use the dynamic programming, which is a DB. And then in Swift, we can create the array by creating like array initializer with the repeating of the, okay, let's call the largest negative we could receive. The reason why I'm choosing the negative receive in here is I don't want to create the repeating zeros in here because the numbers given here include the negative integer, which is less than 0. So we cannot use the 0 as a pivots to solve our dynamic programming problem. So let's call it integer.minimum. So I'm gonna use a neck in here. Neck count will be the maybe n the second. So when we are checking the do lunch, both of the two nums1 and num2 lunch maybe in between from 1 to 500. So that is stay manageable, I would say. The number inside the each num1 and num2 will be minus 1000 to positive 1000. And then I'm gonna do like index in 0 through m because we don't want to go through like what is the number possible in the first array. And then I'm gonna keep the previous in here, which is going to negative. So for the previous in here, I just want to keep track of what are the negative I'm receiving here. Okay, just changing my microphone audio. And then I'm gonna use the second nested array, which is going to 0 through n, since we want to iterate through like all the numbers in num1 and all the numbers in nums2. So that's what we want to do. And then let's try to start calculating the temporary valuation. So the temporary valuation will be we can receive with the inner nested number first. So we're going through like 0. Let's consider in here we have how many numbers in here? Like 3 numbers. So that's going to be 0 through 0 1 0 1 2. Yeah, that's going to be 0 1 2 because the count is a 3, so we're going through from 0 to 2. So we are accessing the second integer in here, and then which is exactly the last index of the dynamic programming. Just damn it, let's call it temporary, which initially the negative, which is the negative minus number possible in our computer. And then we are going to start calculation of the pair in here by getting the nums of I multiplying with the nums of j. We could have a question like, why don't we not measure like 1 by 1 instead of like multiplying like 2 at the same time? So we could do like parallel. So that is not the case. Even though we can do the parallel, there is a lot of possibility we can do in here. Let's consider how many possibilities we could have in here. So if we choose like two numbers, that is a two operation we need to do. Let's consider like three numbers and 2 numbers. Let me check. 3 and 2 2 2. Let's consider 3 3 3. So that is also the 3 approach. So based on the operation that we choose, we need to do the many approach as much as we can. Instead of that, we just measure like after we calculating the pair, we were going to calculate like based on the previous number. If the previous is greater than 0, that means it's not negative. We will choose a previous number, which is a positive. If not, we can directly return to 0. And then we can just take the pair, like let's just call take, and then that would be the pair and extend. That is how we receive the dot products in our solution. And then next, what we need to do is we need to consider like we want to skip through the first array or not. Let's consider like skip A, what I want to try to here is skip, let's call it like skip num1, which is going to keep our temporary variable in here. So this one going to keep in here, and then let's go like let's skip nums to, this is so wrong, let's call a and b. The name is a little bit weird to call it skip nums1 or skip nums2. That will be the our index is greater than 0 or not. The reason why we need to check the greater than 0 or not is if we keep track of this number, we will stay in our initial number loop. So we don't want to keep track in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to calculate like, how about we detect the, if j is not 0, we can simply get the valuation from our db by detecting the -1. That is the reason why we check in here. And then if not, we can just put the negative, which is the largest negative number we could get in our program. Last but not least, we can just get the final result by assigning the db of j by taking the between 3 number, which will be take, skip a, skip b. So among these 3 number, we're gonna take the maximum and we update through it. So that means like we are assigning the value from like 0, 1, and 2. And then we need to update the previous by using our temporary, which is our latest. So we just want to assign our temporary db in here. After that, we can just return like db will be the n minus 1. That will be the answer. Let's check it out. I forgot the 1s and 2. That's hilarious. Yep, and then it solved our problem also. If I am not wrong, that would be O of n into m, since we are doing the nested for loop in here. And then for the memory, since we don't use any other extra data structure, that will be the O of n. Yep, that's all for it, and then see you in the next video. Bye!